Call the June 13th school board meeting for Benicia Unified School District to order. We have nothing to report out in closed session, so we are going to move on to the pledge. Mr. Wing, would you lead us in the pledge tonight?
He does it right.
I know he does. Everybody please stand.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like a motion to approve the agenda, please, as presented.
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Dr. Young, we have a highlight this evening.
Why don't we start with the trustees? Yes.
The reports instead? All right. Do you want to start with your report first, or shall I just deflect to the board? All right. Does anybody
I will
have?
go after trustee. We'll just go down that way.
Okay, so we're going to go this way first. All right, so I guess I will start this evening real quickly. I just want to thank everyone in our district for amazing promotion and graduation ceremonies this past week. I just don't know if you could have done it any better. They were absolutely fabulous. I saw a couple of elementary school, we saw middle school, we saw high school. The only request I would have for you for next year is could you cool it down just a little bit? It got hot. But it was wonderful. The kids were fabulous, and it's just such a great experience. So thank you, everyone.
I'll second the accolades for the graduations. They were both amazing at Liberty and Benicia High School. I think the Liberty High School graduation was especially vibrant this year and really well done. I love the changes that the new principal has made there. I also attended the CAPS meeting on Diane's behalf while she was playing with her new grandbaby. And that's the Valero Community Advisory Group. And we had a really good in-depth conversation about air monitoring and air quality as it's related to Valero, and learned quite a bit about that, including all of the new technology that is being installed and utilized to make sure that Valero is having the least possible impact on our air quality, and particularly our schools, because they have put in air quality monitoring right along the Robert Semple fence line, which is the closest property to Valero. So I was very grateful to learn a lot more about that. They also donated this year to a program called Girls Plus Camp that was being run out of our district office this summer, and that's a coding camp for young ladies. And the coding camp will be having some promotional activities and wrap-up activities later this month. They'll be at the Benicia Maker Space on Tuesday, June 25th, or Wednesday, June 26th at 10 a.m. And then they'll also be having their culminating experience at the Solano Community College campus in Vallejo on June 28th at 2 p.m. So those will be great events to recognize the young ladies that are doing that work this summer. All of the air quality information is available on Valero's website, which was really interesting. We did take some time to look at that as well.
I also was able to go to the Liberty and the high school graduations. It was very impressive. Liberty, I didn't realize that, the extent of things and the relationships that were made between the teachers and the students. The only request I would have is that they make those robes out of something other than polyester, because wow, man.
Okay.
And black. I mean, come on, dang. Too hot.
I'm going to say that I agree with everybody regarding Liberty. The graduation was fabulous, as was the Benicia Middle School, which I attended. And I just want to say thank you to all our teachers and everybody that works at the schools, and to all the students, congratulations to those that are going forward into their next chapter. And I thought it was fabulous. It's been a good month.
I just want to echo everything, but I also want to recognize our, I went to a couple of our elementary school promotions, and I want to recognize Christina Moore for her slime attack that she got the week before, and just how she went over and above being a principal, and the how much the kids love her. And then on Friday they had a field day down on the lower field, and it was well attended, and kids just had a blast had a blast, and just thank you for that. So about 11 years ago, my quest for school board started, and 9 years ago, I decided I was going to run for school board and not city council. And the main reason for that was because as a parent volunteer, I heard many, many, many times from teachers and from staff that they had no idea what the school board did, what they did, never saw them on their campuses. And it's like, board members who sit in this room should know what's going on out there on the campus, should know what's going on with our students, know what's going on with our admin. They should be involved in our schools. And that's what I ran my campaign on, and that's what I got elected, and almost 8 years now. I did my 8th graduation, and I'm reporting out that tonight is my last board meeting. Opportunities has come up with my company I work for in Southern California, opportunities that I would never get up here. We took over a couple of companies down there, and they want somebody. I've been with my company 24 years, and they want somebody with experience in our company to run one of our units down in Wilmington. And after several meetings with the owner of the company, I finally said, that's the best step for me. I spent a lot of time this last year working on my high school reunion. I had a blast. It's just, reconnecting down there has just really made the opportunity for me to accept this, and that's one of the reasons why he offered me that position. And so this will be my last meeting. I'm officially, the county superintendent has already signed my paperwork, but I'm actually here for 2 more weeks. So with that, that's my report. I do just want to say thank you for the privilege of being a board member these last 8 years, and I'm so happy I could walk away saying we are so much better than what we were 8 years ago. Everything from IT a computer that will actually play a YouTube video, where you can actually open up your email or open up PowerSchool and it won't crash the whole system, to a maintenance department that's doing preventive maintenance, not just emergency repairs all the time, but preventive maintenance. I don't know, I can keep going on and on. We got a food service that is actually not digging, not taking money out of the general fund. They're actually making money or breaking even, which, and just outstanding work. So I just want to thank you all for the opportunity to serve you guys. So thank you.
Thank you. So now, which brings me to the highlight. I was wondering, before I do the highlight, can we create an action item to see if we can have Mr. Wing rescind everything that he just said about leaving us? Gary, we want to take some time here tonight just to recognize you, and I'll open it up to the other trustees. But you've been a really terrific trustee. And during my speech to both of the high schools, and I had an opportunity to talk about these enduring truths in culture. And one of the ones I talked about is being in service to communities. And when I wrote that speech, I thought a lot about you. That you give so much of this town, you always have. You care very deeply for the kids, the staff, the schools, and it's noted. You've made a huge difference, a big positive imprint with your work here in the district. And you have a lot of knowledge about a lot of things that we're a little worried now. Here is Mr. Romero back there. You helped us out in a lot of ways. We're going to miss that. And you just got a big heart for kids, and you love this school district. You really, really do, and it just comes out in all your interactions. So, as a superintendent, absolute honor serving as your superintendent and getting to know you. So, thank you deeply, really, and we wish you the best of luck. Please know, everybody, that Mr. Wing is one of the most social individuals I've ever met. So not only does he know everybody in town, he'll meet everybody, know everybody in this next town. So I know you'll do well with that. So before we do the next thing, which we have two nice gifts for you, and we'd like to take a picture up front, just like to open it up to the other trustees if you have any comments you'd like to share on behalf of Mr. Wing.
I just want to say we will miss you, and thank you for being an ear, listening to me, and getting me acclimated to working with the board that we're on. But I wish you the best in your future.
I also would like to say the same, and I've never seen anybody with so much passion for what they're doing. I mean, you really show a great joy the whole time. And I think that if we could have had a videographer follow you for last year, you could do a how-to video on how to be a board member and how to be involved and being at the schools and what to do. I mean, you just really showed, we're new at it, but you really showed us the proper way to do it, and I appreciate that.
Well, I echo my colleagues and can say that you've obviously trained a whole generation of board members along with other volunteers in this town. And you're greatly respected, and we're really going to miss you.
Well, there isn't one thing that they're saying that is not true and that I don't believe. Gary and I had a great conversation at the graduation the other day when we were kind of waiting for things to get going, and we were talking about all the progress that we have seen in the 5 years since I've been on the board. And he has been absolutely instrumental in all of those things that have been happening. You have been an amazing board member to work with. You were a great mentor for me. I kind of came on the board in a whirlwind, and you kind of helped to get me settled. I was retiring and got elected, and I'm like, what happened here? But you have been a great mentor and a great colleague for me, and you're going to be terribly missed up here. Would like to call the Benicia Unified School District Board meeting back to order after that wonderful celebration for Mr. Wing. Thank you to Mrs. Jensen for getting those awesome cupcakes. Okay, now we'll get back to the reports again. We still have to, Superintendent, are you all done? Okay, so then I'm going to move on to comments for members of the public. Members of the public may address the board at a regular meeting on any item within the board's jurisdiction. Cards may be completed requesting to address the board. They are available at the back table and may be submitted to the board secretary at the meeting. The governing board allows speakers to speak at regular meetings on agendized and not agendized matters under public comment. Comments are limited to no more than 3 minutes per speaker. By law, no action may be taken on any item raised during the public comment periods, and matters may be referred to staff for placement on a future agenda of the governing board. With that, I have 2 speakers, John Hamm and Sue Wing. John? Okay.
Good evening, Governing Board and District Office. I'm speaking to Gary. In December of 2011, you all talked about this. In December of 2011, I was here in this room celebrating your first board meeting, and I wanted to be here for your last. You have served our community well in 32 years. Some of your achievements include service in our church in some roles such as deacon, elder, and even youth pastor, Benicia Youth Commission, Youth Action Task Force, the Crisis Response Team, softball coach, school board trustee, and even military service in the Air Force Reserves. And in my opinion, your greatest service and achievement was being involved in the Every 15 Minutes program, which, by the way, should be brought back. I know Gary would agree. These were your passion, and you were always supported by your family. As you leave and begin this new chapter, please know how very much you are loved by your family, including me. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Board of Trustees and District. My name's John Ham. I represent the BMS Viking Music Boosters. I have a message from my son, Cedric Ham, who was the BMS drum major and now is an incoming BHS 9th grader. He couldn't be here tonight, unfortunately, so here's his message. The music program means so much to me. I look forward to it every day. I met many people through the program. I love that we can be taught music as a whole group since it helps create bonds. It feels more like a family. We have bad times and good times, but most importantly, we do it all together. Memories are made, friendships formed, and everyone benefits from the program. It gives us more people to talk to, more time to have fun together. I wish that the program grows, but most importantly, I hope it continues to teach and encourage students to become the best version of themselves. So thank you for supporting the music program. Just briefly, LCAP funding this year was used to pay for the transportation to and from 4 band reviews this year. We also used it to help pay for transportation to the music showcases held at the 4 elementary schools earlier this year in March. Portion of the funds were used for cleaning of marching band uniforms as well as repair of instruments. We have a very developed instrumental music program at the middle school, and Candace Krisman came in with lots of energy and a can-do attitude. She teaches a beginning, intermediate, and advanced band in addition to 2 wheel classes. But that's not all. 3 days a week, she can be found at the school before school hours, teaching jazz band, 2 days a week after school teaching marching band. We have a drumline and color guard group that is, the boosters step up in this case, and we hire a coach and a technician to help out, but that's still 4 days a week after school. She's involved in some supervisory role. This year, we were able to do many things, but one of the great things was Disney trip, where the marching band got to march down Main Street, participate in a backstage soundtrack session. Color guard got to do a dance clinic. The kids got to go to the Grammy Museum and experience music history and participate in a multi-track workshop. And where I'm going with this is the program still needs your help. You need to get administrative support like a Band-Aid for Ms. Grismond to help with tasks like instrument record keeping, reservation of buses, filing of facility use requests, creation of itineraries for our band reviews, LCAP expenditure tracking, which really helps. I miss Shaban for that. And also, I know that the music program will change under a new director, and that's a good thing. I've seen what Mr. Hanna and Mr. Guevara are doing at the elementary school program. I've seen the choir at the music at our schools. I really love the idea that Candace brought up. Maybe she can switch out a wheel class. I'm sorry, can I keep going? Just a wheel class for a choir at the middle school. Wouldn't it be great for those elementary students to have some place to go to, and from there have a choir program at the BHS? Okay, that's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered by the board to be routine Yes, my mic is off. Thank you. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered by the board to be routine and will be approved by the board in one motion. There will be no discussion on these items unless members of the board, staff, or public request items to be pulled or discussed. And actually, if I noticed correctly, we have a resolution, so we actually do need to do a roll call vote.
And we have gifts.
And we have gifts.
She's correct.
If you've read them, you could. Have you? Mm-hmm.
You can just,
Okay.
are you ready?
We are ready.
So do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
We need a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Do I have a second? Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Ferrucci?
Yes.
Trustee Holguin?
Yes.
Trustee Maselli?
Yes.
Trustee Wing?
Yes.
Trustee Zeta?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and we have gifts tonight that we want to make sure that we recognize.
Yes, we have gifts from Benicia Valero Refinery that provided 2 scholarships to Benicia High School in the amount of $5,000 total.
Okay, thank you. All right, so now we're going to move on to discussion items, of which there are none.
Before we do that, since as part of the yellow consent items, I would like to recognize and
okay.
introduce somebody who is in that consent item. That is, and I would like her to come to the podium, Constance or Connie Huntington. Come on to the podium. So welcome, Connie. Just for everybody, we went through the process of finding new leadership over at the middle school, and Ms. Dulsky's here. And we went through a rigorous process of, posting the position and looking at the candidates. And Ms. Huntington did a really terrific job. And we're so delighted that will be joining us. And I want to just read a little bit about you so the board knows a little bit more about you and the public, certainly. So Constance or Connie, right?
Yep.
Began her career here in education. She's here with her husband and her cute little son, Hudson. There he is. In Napa as a longtime substitute, where she quickly learned that education was her passion. Connie began teaching science at the high school level in Fairfield, Sassoon, moving into a department chair role and providing leadership within a department while also working on a district NGSS, which is the National Science Standards Committee. Constance transitioned to administration at the middle school level in Fairfield, Sassoon, and fell in love with working with middle school age students. Connie believes that academic, social, and emotional learning are all key in growing successful students who will become well-rounded, lifelong learners. Connie is excited about coming to Benicia to serve the community in which she now lives. Growing up in Vallejo, she frequently visited Benicia to be with friends or attend community events when the opportunity arose to find a permanent home in Benicia. Her husband and her lovely little son, Hudson, and her took so that, and loved it here so much that they found a place, and they're now part of our community. By living and working in Benicia, Connie hopes to make a great impact on the lives of young people and the community as a whole, and we are absolutely thrilled to have you joining us. So welcome once again. If you have any words for the community of the board.
Thank you. Sorry. He's excited. He's just as excited as I am to be here. And I really appreciate the opportunity, and I'm excited to start my career in Benicia.
Welcome aboard.
Hey, Hudson, what do you think about this? Is it a good thing, Hudson? Yeah?
Yeah?
Say yes.
Say hi?
Well, thanks a lot. So we'll see you in August.
Thank you.
All right, welcome.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to some non-consent action items. And the first one is 13.1. It's consideration and approval of some BHS course outlines, AP World and Economics, from Dr. Beetson.
Good evening, Board.
I'm really excited tonight to bring forth 2 course approvals for next year, courses for your approval for next year for Benicia High School. The first is an economics course outline, and this course has been in existence for a long time. It's one of our graduation requirements, but it has been updated to reflect the new social science standards and framework and expectations. So that's that particular course. And before I get to the next one, I just want to remind everybody that the departments and the administration work hard on these courses. They submit them to UCCSU for approval. They come to the District Curriculum Council where they have to explain what the course is. Sometimes the District Curriculum Council asks them for more information before it comes to you. The second course is AP World History, and we are proposing the adoption of AP World History Modern, which is a 2019 update of the longstanding course that we've offered at 10th grade, AP European History. And the reason for this is it's more inclusive, so it includes AP Euro, but broader because it is AP World, so it's more inclusive of other cultures, ethnicities, and geographical areas. It's more in alignment with the other 10th grade non-AP course, which is World Civ, and it has gotten great support. And part of it was feedback from some families, which is there anything else at 10th grade that would be AP besides a singular focus of AP Euro? And so the high school took that to heart, worked with their teachers, and came up with AP World, which many high schools are going to. So tonight I'm asking for your approval of these 2 course outlines as presented. Okay. Are there any questions or comments?
I would just like to say that I read through the AP World
Outline and really appreciate this movement to be more inclusive.
Thank you. Well, and I think the other thing that's important too is that it does actually align to the standards now, where before it did not. So that's another piece that I think is good for our students. And all, I'm sending 11 high school teachers to AP conferences this summer because the entire AP curriculum in all areas is being realigned and readjusted, and so a lot of people are going, so this is right on target for them. Right. Okay, so with that said, do I have a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the course outlines as presented.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the courses are approved. Okay, 13.2 is consideration and approval of the Phonics textbook. Okay, that's me again. See you again. This is the Leslie show right now. It is. I'm super excited to bring forth to you tonight for your approval a Phonics program. Our kindergarten and first grade teachers, under the direction of Stephanie Rice, who did an amazing job, took them through the whole pilot process, which is pretty rigorous. They look at lots of different materials, decide on a couple different ones to pilot, come together several times to look at the pros and the cons. There's a whole checklist that teachers need to go through to make sure that it's inclusive and all kinds of things. And after lots and lots of discussion, have settled on Teachers College Units of Study in Phonics, which goes right along with the other work that we're doing in terms of literacy in our elementary schools. It's rigorous, it's research-based. Many of our surrounding communities are adopting this program as well. And so tonight I'm bringing forth to you our Phonics Teachers College Units of Study in Phonics for approval. Leslie, is this going to be used district-wide? Kindergarten and first grade, yes. Okay. All right. They're coming out with a second grade one. This is a new program. It hasn't been released yet, and so at that point, we'll decide if we need to bring it up to second as well. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was part of the other grant materials. No. Okay, all right. That's why I was asking for the clarification. Sorry. Anybody else have any other questions, comments? Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve Teachers College Units of Study in Phonics.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the adoption of the Teachers College Unit of Study in Phoenix is adopted. Okay, 13.3 is consideration and approval of a new job description
I'll take that one, and staff is here to ask any questions from the trustees, should you have any. Just for clarity, I thought I'd read the enclosure about the job description. In an ongoing effort to operate more efficiently in the business office and to save money, is proposed to not fill the vacant position of senior fiscal accounting assistant and to replace the current position of senior payroll accounting assistant with a payroll coordinator analyst. The payroll coordinator analyst, which is class 40, will perform advanced payroll functions, including oversight, payroll analytics, and technical direction. Responsibilities assumed by the payroll coordinator analyst will allow other staff to assist with the duties previously performed by the senior fiscal accounting assistant. The net savings to the district is $60,000. The board is asked to approve the new job description of payroll coordinator analyst.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
So is the $60,000 savings, is that salary plus benefits, or is that just salary? That's salary plus benefits? Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, do we have a motion to approve the new job description?
I move that we approve the new job description as written.
No, second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the new job description passes. 13.4 is consideration and approval of a new job description for a reading tutor paraprofessional.
I'm going to turn that over to Dr. Beatson. I'm very excited about that work, and it's related to the block grant, and one of our big goals around all kids will be reading at or above grade level by the 3rd grade. And Dr. Beatson did such a terrific job working with her, with all the stakeholders to come up with this recommendation. So I'll turn it over to you.
Sure, thank you. I'm super excited to bring this to you tonight. As Dr. Young said, it's part of that low performing student block grant. One of the items, strategies, was to reduce or to lower the teacher to student ratio in the classrooms. And one way to do that is to hire some reading tutors, we're calling them right now, to push into the K-1-2 classrooms 1 hour a day, Monday through Thursday, specifically for reading instruction. Our plan is that over the summer, after we hire all these wonderful people, we will do a very intensive training on a program called Literacy Footprints, which is currently being used in our kindergarten classrooms and some of our 1st grade classrooms at Mary Farmer. It is guided reading. It goes right along with our guided reading program, but it's much more structured, so it will be easier to follow for a non-credentialed teacher. The idea being, having a second set of hands in the classroom during reading instruction, doing extra reading instruction will either give some groups 2 touches of reading during a reading block. And so I worked with, and Ms. Rice as well, worked with teachers that worked on this particular strategy for the low performing student block grant. They had lots of conversation, met several times, drafted the job description, came to us, we tweaked it a little bit, and now we're bringing it to you for approval.
Any questions?
How many reading assistants are we hiring?
12?
12.
We're thinking 1 per grade level at each site. Yes, at all 4 elementary sites.
Sorry, my mic was on.
K1 and 2.
Okay.
And the funding is coming from the block grant?
Yes, it is. So it is one time in nature. We will be keeping a lot of data, and I think we talked about the, Mr. Vaselli, I think you asked this last time. And
Yes,
if
you're right.
if we see that this is a truly effective strategy, we will have to make some hard decisions about what we don't do. So if we want to continue this.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And this, and our current grant will cover the next 2 years.
Yes.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve the job description for the reading tutor paraprofessional?
I move that we approve the job description as written.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the job description for the reading tutor is approved. 13.5 is consideration and approval of the local control and accountability plan, better known as LCAP.
Excellent. Okay, so thank you very much. Last board meeting, we had our public hearing for our LCAP. We went through the presentation. I can answer any questions that you may have on that. I do want to point out a couple of small changes to the budget section that were pointed out when we were reviewing this further with the county. One was in the annual update, which is the first section, which talks about this is what you said you were going to do and spend, and this is what you actually did and spent. A couple of the budget lines did not roll over in the program, and we didn't catch that the first time. So that's one budget change that you may see different. The second one our county asked us to change is in the fifth section, which is unduplicated student actions. And so those are the actions and services that are principally directed to increase and improve services for our student groups. We have many, many things listed in there that go above the $1.9 million we get in unduplicated funds. And in prior years, we only showed in the budget the action items that actually met that 1.9 million, or it was 1.8 and 1.7 before that. This year, they asked us to total everything. So it goes about 200,000 more than what our 1.9 is, because we have more actions and services that support those students as well as others. And so that's the other small change. Nothing new is added. It was just they asked us to total everything, not just the actions that were paid out of the supplemental. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm bringing back the LCAP for your approval this evening.
Make a motion to approve the LCAP as presented.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor to pass the LCAP?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the LCAP passes. All right, 13.6.
Thank you for all your work, you and your team.
Yes,
I know
thank
that is
you.
an excessive amount of work, and I appreciate all the work you do to be so detailed.
Thanks.
Well, and I'd like to recognize Stephanie and Leslie for their El Capitan trip. That team was pretty amazing. I know it took a lot of extra work because it meant really kind of going through and explaining it, but that happened to be my committee, so I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, but there was a lot of brain power in that room, and they were pretty impressive. So I thank you for taking the time to do that, and a big thank you to your team.
Yes.
It was a group effort for sure.
Yes, it was. Okay, so 13.6, consideration and approval of the LCAP Federal Addendum.
So, thank you. One of the other pieces that we have to do for the LCAP, it's not included in the LCAP, is called the Federal Addendum. We need to do this every year. And basically, you can think about it as a bridge document, which links our LCAP, which is a state document of actions and services and budgets, to our federal funding. So we get Title I funding. Pretty much it pays for 2 of our reading intervention specialists at our Title I schools. And we have to show how that money that we get from Title I, which is a federal grant, links to our LCAP. And so the Local Control Accountability Federal Addendum is the document that explains that. And we have to bring that for your approval each year.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, can I call for a motion, please?
I move that we approve the federal addendum as written.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the federal addendum passes as well. Okay.
Does that need to be roll call? No? Okay, thanks. Sorry.
Thank you for checking. Okay, 13.7 is consideration and approval of the 2019-20 budget for Benicia Unified School District. Mr. Rahal.
We presented this to the school board at its last school board meeting and conducted the public hearing. So there's been no changes since the last meeting. Again, we're basing that on the governor's May revise, and as we speak, the state legislature and the governor are fine-tuning that for a final state budget. However, it's not ready before our last school board meeting. We're allowed to put our budget together based on the May revise, and then based on that final state budget at your next school board meeting, we bring back any changes that come from that final state budget. There'll probably be a few small changes, but at this point, there's nothing major different from the May revise.
Isn't it due by tomorrow? I mean, well, it's due by Saturday the 15th, but tomorrow's the 14th.
Yes, it is due to
So get on
reach a
with it.
certain level, and then I believe the governor has some time to review it and either approve it or make some of his own changes and he could send it back to the Senate and the Assembly, but they did what they needed to do by June 15th.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just throw this out? I see some people in the audience that aren't normally here. So we are going through this rather quickly, the LCAP and the budget. We spent a lot of time at the last meeting, so as long as we know that there are no budgets to clarify, we're just, at this meeting, we can just review it and we're going to approve them. So just in case you're sitting there going, wait a minute, what are they doing? We haven't even seen the presentation. We saw all 38 slides for each one at the last board meeting.
Wow, you remembered how many
And
slides,
I remembered
too.
that.
And if you would like to see the presentation, they are available to live stream.
Absolutely.
It's only 38 slides apiece. You'll be done in an hour.
A day.
So just thought I'd put that out there because you're sitting there and I would probably be asking the same question. What are they doing? Okay, so with that said, are there any comments or questions from Mr. Rahill? Okay, can I call for a motion to approve the budget?
I move that we approve the budget.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the budget passes. We have got to be the only entity in the world that does a budget without a final budget from the state, but it's okay. Okay,
We have faith.
Yes.
13.8, there are discussion and approval of the process to fill the vacancy on the governing board. Okay. If I stand up and oppose this, does this mean we don't have to do this? No, huh? Okay.
Well, to bring you up to date, I had to send in my resignation to the county superintendent, since this is actually a county position
Right.
for the BUSD jurisdiction. So we thought we had, technically you got 60 days to
Correct.
appoint, or you go for a special election. Is $286,000 to have a special election. So my input is appoint somebody and go through that process. But what we found out after she had it on her desk is that 60 days start from the day that she sees it and signs it, which was last
Oh.
week. So it's not the end of June like we thought. It still doesn't delay anything on my
So the
side.
clock is
You
already
still would've
ticking, is
found
that
it,
what
right.
you're?
So your clock is already ticking, and I'm sure Betty could, or Charles, or whoever wants to direct.
We have Ms. Jensen do that. She has considerable history around this, having been through it a few times. So maybe walk the trustees through the timeline also, so the community.
Okay, well,
Because the action item tonight is to vote on the process that you would like to use. And as Trustee Wing has highlighted, that it was advisable to do the appointment process, to invite candidates, have a board meeting, you interview them. You come to a unanimous decision.
So our first decision tonight is whether we're going to go forward with an appointment, which means we will interview the candidates after they apply, or we go for, and we open up and have a special election, which, as you saw and heard from Gary, it's going to cost us approximately $300,000. So with that said, do I have a comment from anybody at the board or recommendation?
So it's actually the only thing you're voting on tonight. The other
Right.
items that were in your packet were just for.
Just for information, right?
I make a motion that we move forward an appointment process.
Second that motion.
Okay, all those in favor? Do we have to do a roll call on this, Betty? No. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we will go with an appointment of a new governing board member.
Then just to do my, just in the backdrop, a couple of details regarding how this is communicated outward.
I actually would like Mrs. Jensen to go through the timeline with us. I was just going to draw the attention to my colleagues, and actually, if you're sitting out there and you want to go on the board, it's there. There are some sample questions that we would ask. If you haven't read them, I'd encourage you to, because
Oh, yeah.
I know, they are the questions that we would use in order to meet any potential candidates. So Betty, at this time, can you go through what the timeline will look like for us and some potential dates?
Yes. So as Trustee Wing stated, his resignation becomes effective June 28th as he requested. However, the 60-day timeline begins June 13th. when the
This
county
today.
superintendent accepted the resignation. So the board chooses to appoint a trustee or hold an election. You're doing that tonight. And then next Monday, I will post an announcement in the paper, on our website, Facebook, all of the usual places. And then I will also give a press release to the Herald on Monday. The applicants must be Benicia residents, so there isn't any real reason to go to a paper outside of here.
Right.
So that will happen. At the same time, I will have packets available at my desk. That's the questions that you read today. And so an applicant has to come in, physically come in. I have to verify who they are. They sign their name, email address, phone number, and I date the date that they picked up the packet. They get the packet. That continues to happen until June 27th. On June 27th at 12 noon, all applications must be into me. We cannot accept an application that's turned in at 12:01 or any time after that. There has to be a cutoff, and we have to abide by that cutoff. So that will be June 27th at 12 noon. After I receive those applications with all the answers and their names, I will scan them in, and then I will email them to the board for your review. And you can have from July 1st to July 31st to review those packets. If you want to come in and have me print them out, I can do that as well, if that's easier for you. And then on August 1st, we're hoping to have a special board meeting. I think all of you are available for that. At that board meeting, you will interview the candidates. They will sit here and you will interview them. After reading through their packets, maybe there's additional questions you want to ask. Whatever you would like to ask of them, you'll do that at that time. Then we'll close that part of the meeting, and then you will discuss the applicants amongst yourselves, and then you will take a straw vote and see how are we doing. Are we all in agreement? Do we need to have more discussion? And that will continue until you have a consensus. Once you have a consensus, that person that's still here will be sworn in, and they will, they're not taking their seat yet, but they're sworn in and they are an official board member. And if we had to have an emergency meeting the next day, they would be on that board.
With that said, would the county superintendent attend that meeting the whole time?
I have to ask. Otherwise, Christina Strawbridge can
Mhm.
also swear in. It must be an elected official who does the swearing in, so it can't be Charles or the
Correct.
person's friend or whatever, the guy down the street, or so it must be an elected official. So we'll check on who would be available for that board meeting. And then once we have made the appointment, then I have to, within 10 days, put a public notice up again stating who was appointed and the date and time they were appointed. And then the public has a 60-day, they have a 30-day period where they can challenge by petition the appointment. It requires a large number of signatures and blah, blah. All the appointments, I think I've sat through 6 appointments. We've never had it challenged because of the cost that we would bear if it was challenged. And then the person will start to attend. In November of 2020, that would have been the end of Gary's term. That term will end. And then we will have, the regular election on December 2020, like we would have had Gary stayed. So the folks who are up in November would be on the, if they want, they would be on the ballot for that November election. And then the term would end in December when the new person is sworn in.
Okay, so that was my clarification. Gary's term is up in November 2020.
Yes.
So this person will just serve,
They
their
only
appointment
serve
will
to
only go
finish
till.
Gary's term.
I was going to state that, but
Right,
a year, because it already came up. Yep.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any
All right,
questions?
are there any questions or comments? All right, Mrs. Jensen,
thank
thank you for the clarification and the timeline. So everybody, we need to make sure we put August 1st on our calendars as a board meeting because it is not one of our regularly scheduled. It'll be a special board meeting. Will that be 6 o'clock? Can everybody get here for 6? Can we do this? All right. I'm sorry, say that again? Okay. We just get some special coffee going for her. Okay, I think, we are up to 13.9, which is consideration and approval of the amendment for the contract for the chief business officer, Mr. Rahill, and the Benicia Unified School District. Dr. Young, are you going to tee this one up?
Yeah, it's my pleasure to bring this request to the trustees tonight on behalf of Mr. Rahill, who's served as our CBO. I think this is your 11th year with considerable distinction and rigor and clarity and understanding of the budget and keeping us in the black and keeping us well informed. So, Mr. Rahill certainly received a positive evaluation from me this year, as he has the 4 years that we've worked together. And so the request tonight is, Mr. Rahill does have a contract, and he's had kind of a unique feature in there. It's this kind of role. It's like a yearly yearly. Typical in contracts, they're usually 3-year contracts. And so I would like to recommend that to the board and absolute vote of confidence on behalf of Mr. Rahill that we extend his contract for 3 years that would go out to 21-22, and certainly anytime during that time we can add a year and reconsider to adding years as we go forward.
I just want to say thank you to Tim for the outstanding job as a CBO and the work you do and the in-depth research you do for the budget and everything. Just thank you for that.
Any comments or questions?
In which case, it's my pleasure to motion that we extend your contract.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Mr. Rahill's contract is approved. Congratulations, Kim, and thank you. Okay, 13.10. Have we ever had this many before? Consideration and approval of the amendment to the contract between the superintendent, Dr. Charles Young, and Benicia Unified School District. So a process that we started a couple of years ago, which had not been part of the process before, was to do a yearly evaluation of the superintendent and to also do some goal setting with the superintendent. That has been something, this is about 4 years now that we're doing. So it's actually, I find it very exciting as we do, because it's really kind of helped us as we propel our district forward, and we're keeping ourselves and the entire district, I think, on the same train, and I think it's been good for all of us. Part of his contract is that if I'm receiving positive evaluations and feedbacks, we look at the possibility of either extending his contract and or determining whether or not there will be a raise included in his contract. So this year, the board did give Dr. Young, a positive evaluation, and we extended his contract for 1 more year, which I believe now brings you up to a total of 3 more years, 4 years? 4 years, okay. I just had to get my notes back up. Thank you. And also what we did with that is we gave Dr. Young a 3% raise, as we did all of our employees. So Dr. Young has in his contract what could be considered like a Me Too, right? Just like we did with Mr. Rahill. Once negotiations are completed, all of our employees would receive the same raise, and that was the raise that was extended to the superintendent.
Our administrators would receive the same raise as the teachers.
And our administrators exactly receive the same raise as our teachers. So, but their contracts are always held back until we make sure negotiations are resolved with all of our groups before we move into our contract groups. So with that said, I'd like to present the contract to everybody this evening, and I'd like to call for a motion to approve unless there's any comments first.
Structurally, the contract is you have steps, just like if you look at a teacher's salary schedule, there's step and
Correct.
column. So if anybody was to ask, well, wait, did he get more than, you would move up a step like anybody else would in the district, and then the 3% would be just like.
Correct, except we didn't give them as many steps as are on the management or the teacher salaries.
But you are moving one
You'll
step.
be moving on a step.
We started the steps 2 years ago, so I didn't have them the first 2 years, but we
Correct.
started, I think, at the end of the second year.
So theoretically, you have a smaller salary schedule, but still one with steps, just like any other employee would have classified, or
Correct.
So yeah, it fits just like everybody else in the district.
All the same model.
Mhm.
Same model.
Same model.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I recommend, I put forward a motion to approve the contract for Dr. Young as posted.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, congratulations, Dr. Young.
And thank you again for your service, Dr. Young.
Yes.
Yes. Probably one of the best things we've done in the district since I've been on the board is hire you as our superintendent. And thank you for that, and just your heart for our staff, our students, and our community. And just thank you for that.
You know what was really interesting is I was going back to look at some of the original contract. I don't know if you had the chance to read it, and it talks about one of the things that we really wanted when we hired Dr. Young was someone who was going to take an active role in the community on behalf of the district. And I have to say, you did that. You are doing that now, and it's kind of exciting. Stacy and I are sitting on the liaison committee, which has the city leadership with us again. So I am very proud that you were able to get them out there again to do that. But we saw that as a lofty goal, and it is happening because we are part of this community. And I think that that's something that I value and I treasure, and I'm glad that we are working to get it together. So, all right, with that said, this meeting is adjourned.